Hello, Lathe West. Today we are going to be doing some math ACT practice, specifically a strategy to do when you get stuck on those algebra questions. And the technique is called substituting values. Now, substituting values, again, is a great strategy for algebra questions when you do not know what to do. We really want you to do the algebra, but if you get stuck, this can work. What we do is we substitute a value for the variables, and we use our calculator to do that. And then a tip is try to avoid substituting these numbers in for the variables. So for example, here's a question, right? And it's like, gosh, how do I do this? I forgot how to factor. Well, one way to do is called substituting values. We can pick a value for x, which is 3, right? So I'm going to type that into my calculator, 3, store that as an x. So it's going to store the x as a 3. So what that means is anytime I press x, anytime I press x, it's going to return the number 3. It's stored the number 3 as an x. Well, let's go ahead and figure out what we're trying to get here. 4x squared Okay, we get an answer of 48. So we're trying to figure out which of these expressions gives us an answer of 48. Well, let's start typing them in. We can see this one gives us an answer of 63, which is not correct. I can type in all the other ones, but if I go to letter K and try that one out, 4 parentheses x plus 3, and then x minus 1, hey, we get 48. The answer must be letter K. That's the way this technique goes. So here's one. Not too bad of a question. I think would involve factoring and canceling. But again, if we're not sure what to do, we're like, gosh, I'm not sure what. I'm just going to pick a value for x. So this one, I'm going to let x equal 4. And I got to make sure that this is true. So I'm like, okay, if x is 4, 16 subtract 36. Yeah, that definitely does not equal 0, right? Well, let's go ahead and figure out how much this is. So let's store this number, 4, stored as an x. So now every time I type an x in, we're going to get 4, right? Well, let's type in. We have x squared plus 4x, subtract 12, over x squared, subtract 36. So what we're looking for here is we're looking for an answer that gives us -1, right? So I'm going to start typing in the different things we have here. 4x over 3. That is definitely not -1. X subtract 2. Whoops. X subtract 2, and then x subtract 6. Hey, that does equal -1, so I think that's the answer. But the thing is, on this technique, what you really need to do is there could be 2 answers that give you a -1, which means you got to pick another value to eliminate it. But I've already tried these other ones out. These other ones do not give us an answer of -1. So the answer is choice B, right? Now, also, we can use this technique for things even without our calculator, right? Like, here's a pretty tough one. They say it's tough. It's number 47. And we're told that A is positive and B is positive. So if I were to take this and rewrite it where A is a positive number and B is a positive number, I just got to figure out which graph is correct. Well, we know here the y-intercept is +5. Well, this one is negative, so I know it can't be that. This y-intercept is negative, so I know it can't be that. Let's see, the slope is positive, so the line should be going up. Well, this slope here is negative, and this slope is negative. Therefore, the answer must be choice A. Okay, one more I'm doing, and you've got a bunch to do. And this is one, solving an equation. Right now, we really want you to do the algebra to solve the equation. But again, you're doing a test, you get stuck, you're like, gosh, I'm just not sure what to do. Well, what we could do is this. We're trying to find out when this answer here is equal to 18. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put my fraction in, and I'm going to type in, instead of an x, I'm going to put in the first answer that they supply for us, which is 16 over 3. Whoops, better close the parentheses. Okay, so I check it out. I've typed in the problem on the left-hand side of the equal sign, replacing the x with our first choice, which is 16/3. When I do that, I do not get an answer of 18. So I'm going to press the up arrow to get on top of this, copy it down, and I'm going to change the x value to be the next choice, which is 32 over 3. Oops. Hey, that does give us 18. Now, since this is an equation that's being solved, there's really no need to check the other ones. This is the only answer that would work to give us the correct result. Again, we really like you doing algebra on this, but you know, when you get stuck on stuff, this is what happens. You try out substituting values. Okay, one more together with you, and then that's going to be it. This one's just a different substitution. We've got a pretty tough one here, number 58. But again, I'm like, gosh, it's algebra. I'm not sure what to do. I'm going to pick some values. I'm going to let x equal, I'm going to write this differently. I'm going to let x equal 3, and I'm going to let the y equal 5. So 3 store as an x. And then to store the 5, we got to find the letter y. Now the letter y is if you press alpha, and it's all these green, see the green letters on your keyboard, the y is on the 1. So I'm storing the y, a 5 as a y. So x is 3, y is 5. Let's see how much this is. Okay, this whole thing is equal to 3. And again, that's just using my calculator to evaluate, right? Again, we really want you to do the algebra to add on it, but we can understand that kind of gets a little scary. We know the answer can't be this. We said x is 3, and it says, hey, this is 3. So this could be the answer. This would be 1 over 3, which is definitely not the answer. This would be 1 over y, which is, again, not the answer. This one here would have been 3 squared minus 1 over 3 minus 5, or in other words, -4, which is definitely not 3. So the answer that we have there is letter G. Okay, so this is a technique. Let's have you run through some and see how you do. Here's your first one. Okay, so on this one, we were told that m had to be between 0 and 1. So I chose m to be 1/3. Then it asked, hey, what is the inverse of m? So I used my calculator, and I got 3. So here's my two pieces. Well, if m is 1/3, the inverse is 3, and so the inverse is greater. It's choice A. Okay, here's another one for you to do. Okay, on this one, we had to pick some values. We were told that p is positive and n is negative. So you can see I chose those numbers. We also were told that this had to be true. So when I put my values in, I had to make sure the absolute value of 5 was greater than the absolute value of -3, which it is. Okay, so that's what we have. The question says, which of these has the greatest value? So I used my calculator and started typing in all these choices. You can see the calculator screens there. The one with the greatest choice, the greatest value, is choice G. We get 8/3, which is 2 2/3, which is definitely way bigger than 1 3/5. Okay, next one for you to do. Okay, again, here's my screenshot. We're told that M and N are both positive numbers and that M is less than N. So I chose M to be 3 and N to be 4. And again, just like before, I typed all these in. You can see the calculator screens. Choice F is not the greatest answer. The greatest answer, I'm sorry, choice F is the greatest answer. 2.3 repeating, definitely the largest answer there. Okay, 2 more questions for us to go through. Okay, so for this one, we've got our fraction on the right-hand side, and I'm like, okay, what does that reduce to be? I use my calculator here, and it reduced it to be 5/6. There is 5/6. And then what I did was I started plugging these numbers in for the x, and the first one I chose was a 2, and the 2 also gave us 5/6, so the answer is 5/6. Last one. Okay, so we were told that A is less than B, less than C, less than D, and they are consecutive positive integers. So these are what I let them equal. I stored them in there. And then I typed all of these values into the calculator. Choice H is the one that gave us the greatest value, 0.83. Okay, so hopefully everyone found a way to use this technique when you get stuck on the algebra and you're not really sure. Again, we really like you doing the algebra on those, but we understand sometimes you get stuck on this test and you're not sure what to do. This is the method to try. Thank you very much.